direct by VO, meaning voiceover, all the character voices. But the music can reach you subliminally. It can tell you, maybe if we're not sure how the players are, we know how we want the player to feel, but if the player's not sure, the music can kind of nudge you in that direction.
Right.
And it's a universal language. We don't have to localize it. It's completely accessible. Everyone has their own personal wellspring of musical influences to draw upon to relate what kind of music sounds sad and what kind of music suggests glory and honor and hope and conquest and all the things that are always in our games.
Right.
All right, back to Twitter again. Lots of questions for you. This one comes from Jeff Rowe. And this is an interesting question. He says, Russell, do you think if you could go back and redo any of the music in any Blizzard game, would you?
I think our music is just going to be an evolutionary process. We're going to keep moving forward. Blizzard is making the next chapter and the next chapter always. So we're going to track right along with them. And I wouldn't pick because I mean, even now, we base our themes on a lot of stuff that has come before. The main title for Wrath of the Lich King has about 9 sections to it, and 3 of them are based on past iterations or eras of World of Warcraft. So our job isn't to change it for the sake of change. Our job is to track the development of the story.
Speaking of tracking the story, you have a new CD that was released here at BlizzCon, correct?
We released a new CD at BlizzCon.
Yes.
It's called World of Warcraft Mosaic, and it consists of previously unreleased tracks that had been in the free content updates between expansion sets.
Okay.
So these didn't make it into a collector's edition. So we have things like the Black Temple and Honor Hold and Fury of the Sunwell. We actually polled our forum community members online and asked what would they like to hear on such a CD. And many of the selections on here are based on their recommendations.
Okay.
And that's exclusive to the Blizzard store. Will people be able to buy that online afterwards, Kat?
For right now, it's exclusive to the Blizzard store, but I hear that you might be releasing it other places later.
I believe we'll put it online at some point in the future, but right now it is a BlizzCon exclusive.
All right. Well, I'm sure it's probably sold out or close to being sold out. Russell, it's so great to have you here on BlizzCon Live. Glad we made it happen this year. Can't wait to hear more of your music in the years to come. Now we're going to head out to talk to Joe again. Joe, where are you at right now?
Hey guys, we're here on the Diablo floor, and we're here with the lead technical artist for Diablo 3, Julian Love. What exactly is the lead technical artist do?
Yeah, it's kind of a strange title. What I do is I run a team of 8 sort of misfits on the team, and the guys that kind of don't fit into the other teams, they're not quite artists, they're not quite designers, they're not quite programmers. We're kind of like a Dirty Dozen, but there's just 8 of us. It's kind of that kind of thing.
Okay, the art in Diablo has changed a lot since the very first game to this current game. A lot of the games are starting to incorporate, kind of look the same, like the World of Warcraft, the bar at the bottom, it's a big deal. Also, the graphics are starting to look very similar. How involved is your team in making that consistency throughout all the games?
Well, it's the way in which it is consistent, from our perspective, is that we have to make sure that the game is highly readable, that characters pop off the screen, that you can instantly identify them, that there's a lot of color. So those are things that are common from game to game, but the ways in which they're not common are other things, like our game is a lot more like graphically gory and a little bit more brutal, and it's got a darker theme to it.
And overall, what are the new changes to be seen in Diablo 3? Because you have a lot of the fans that have been around for a long time. People were saying that they wanted to keep the gore and the darkness about the game, and they felt that that slipped a little bit in Diablo 2. So do you think they're going to come back to that in Diablo 3?
Yeah, we always intended to have a kind of a progression throughout the game. If you start out totally dark, then you don't leave yourself any room to become more dark. So we purposely started the game a little bit on the lighter side so that when you get to those areas that are really dark and creepy, like the kinds of things you're seeing in the dungeon, in the build that we have on the show floor today, that it really feels dramatically dark. So we're really just where we've always planned to be in a progression from light to dark.
So you feel that the art is very important in the incorporation of what the experience that they're actually getting when they're playing this video game?
Oh yeah, oh absolutely. A big part of telegraphing like the brutality of the characters and the powerfulness of them comes from, you know, blood spraying all over the place and explosions and all that stuff. A lot of that stuff is communicated through special effects and animations.
And are you going to be on any panels today?
I was on my one panel was yesterday on the Heroes and Monsters, where we covered the monk, and we talked a little bit about the changes to our skill system, and also a little bit about how we go about doing the special effects. And of course, we covered a few other little fun points like bloopers and things that were mishaps along the way.
The cow level, everybody, all the cow levels. But we're here with Julian Love, lead technical artist for Diablo 3, but we'll get back to you guys at the desk. We're on.
Excellent. All right, well, thank you so much, Joe. And now we are joined by a man who you just saw in the StarCraft 2 lore panel. It's Chris Metzen, head of creative at Blizzard. Chris, thanks so much for joining us live here on DirecTV.
Of course. It's good to be here.
Now, I got to ask you, I mean, you are the man who holds all the Blizzard universes in your head. And how do you keep everything straight?
Some would argue that I don't.
The fans will call you out on it?
Many of our brothers and sisters across the internet call us out pretty often on the little mistakes we make. But that's all gravy. We need them to keep us honest. And not like we're not honest, a little bit. But it's a good thing. I think there's a nice check and balance with so much of the fan community so geeked up by the lore and the story and the worlds we built. Their enthusiasm really kind of keeps us in check, and keeps us really thinking about things like continuity and story issues that, sometimes might just slip under the cracks in the process of rapid game development.
Yep.
Although the term rapid game development probably doesn't apply very well to our studio specifically, but...
This is the first time that you've done a voiceover panel at BlizzCon, correct? How do you think the feedback from the crowd was, especially with that last announcement of Trisha?
It was really cool. I didn't quite know what to expect other than, many of these characters, especially the recurring characters, are very beloved. That's been clear for years. And we figured, hey, look, we've talked for a couple years about the storyline, not exhaustively. Since the game's not out, there's only so much we can really say without giving things away. So this year, bringing the actors out and having them talk about the characters and their experiences and really give the BlizzCon audience a look into the development process that they do not always get seemed to be an interesting experiment. So I didn't know what to expect, but whatever I did expect, it far surpassed it. There you go. It far surpassed any expectation I had. It was just a lot of fun.
Now, with StarCraft being split up into sort of 3 separate games, now, can you tell me a bit about the development of sort of the story for that, the script, and many of these actors, I'm sure, will bridge some of the games. Are you going to record them separately for each game now, or how is that going to work?
Yeah, typically, like Andrea Romano, our voice director, said, she likes to, for traditional animation, record people, in larger groups, so they can vibe off each other and, kind of react to the way everyone is delivering their lines and just feeling in a moment, where video game scripts tend to need to be recorded a little more piecemeal, right? Because we're pulling lines all the time and we're changing the nature of missions, we're changing the nature of how the plot moves forward based on game design and balancing missions, so we can't always trust in the continuity of the script. Because things shift in flight. So recording more piecemeal allows us a lot more freedom down the stretch to make, to manipulate our maps and our missions and do what we need to do to make sure that they're fun. So we tend to not record actors together and things like that. So. Goodness gracious, bro, I forgot what the question was.
So have you finished recording even the first Wings of Liberty? Is that done now?
Right. So Wings of Liberty, we've got some pickups to do. We're still doing some tweaking on the missions. They are what they are, and they're badass and a lot of fun. But, we're always kind of, dialing things in from a mechanics standpoint and a flow standpoint. So in general, Wings of Liberty is, I'd say, mostly recorded. So there's going to be some pickups, but the next few chapters, I would say, are largely
unrecorded,
conceptualized, but we haven't started a robust scripting process yet. So that adventure remains to be embarked upon.
Although it's cool that you've got Trisha in this game. Now, Blizzard has not typically done a lot of with big celebrity voiceovers and whatnot inside of your games. Do you want to see more of that going forward? Is that something? I mean, obviously you want the best voice at the end of the day.
Right. I think my honest approach would be we want the right actor for the part. it's bitchin', you know, that you know, Trisha had the Galactica thing going on. I was a huge fan of that series, and I thought she killed it. What a fascinating, you know, character to include into that mythology. But you know, I as a fan of the series, I always kind of felt something about, you know, Trisha's characters, you know, that kind of dual, you know, personality aspect, and this kind of seething, I don't know, you know, kind of sexy, lethal thing that I thought would translate so well, you know, to a character like Kerrigan. And she just came in and just absolutely killed it, you know. So we were very, very fortunate to have, you know, someone that rocks it out that way.
Yep.
You're also an executive producer on the movie that is in production right now. Have you determined exactly what story you'd like to tell in that movie?
I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of stories I'd like to tell with that movie. But things are still playing out with the inclusion of Sam Raimi and some of the, you know, partners he has kind of brought to the table creatively. He has a vision for the film that is very much in line with kind of themes we've been feeling lately. There's a number of ways you can go. There's a number of characters that you can chase. But, you know, just keeping in mind that, you know, the far, you know, broader fan base for Warcraft, you know, hey, it's my level 15 hunter, you know, like that's what most people's experience is. Right. It's not necessarily the far past or, you know, a linear track, you know, through the more recent history, but we're still very much in the process of figuring it out and just jamming and seeing what Sam himself feels has the most resonance for him. You know, you want to choose a story that a director can really sink his teeth into and really feel. You know, he's the kind of man, we've talked a few times, he seems like the kind of director that he's all heart, you know what I mean? Like the whole Peter Parker overdrive thing that he produced in Spider-Man really was the heart of that movie. Past all the organic web shooters and, you know, highfalutin bad guys, it was really just the story of this kid that was so accessible, right, to, you know, I don't know, you know, a mass audience. We just get it, apart from the artifice of the fiction. And that's why we wanted this man, right? He knows how to deliver something that is very accessible, and you just feel, you just get it, right? It doesn't matter all the magic swords or goofy demi-human races creeping around in these ancient kingdoms. I love that stuff, right? But you need to construct a story that people will feel first. Yep. And all the artifice of your setting and all the artifice of the world is something that you can layer in as you go, right? It needs to be certainly informed by the continuity and things like that. And we will respect, you know, the continuity of the series. But he was just the perfect ally. I may have over-answered that for you, brother.
Hey,
sorry about that.
You're obviously excited
I start going, man.
All right, well, let's go to Twitter for a question for you, because a lot of guys are sending in Twitter questions. Hector the Turtle has a question for you. He says, please ask Chris Metzen, with the impending cataclysm, what will be the fate of Metzen the Reindeer?
What will be the fate of Metzen the Reindeer?
Very serious question.
You know, worlds may blow up from time to time, but damn it, Winter Vale isn't going anywhere. All right. My reindeer's here to stay, baby. You know what I mean? Like, that's my one claim to fame, and I'm holding on to it. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much, Chris, for stopping by the BlizzCon live stage. Thanks for Congratulations on a great BlizzCon. Now, speaking of StarCraft 2, you talked about the voiceover cast, and now we're going to head to the StarCraft 2 gameplay panel, which is going to give everyone a little bit of insight into what people can expect from StarCraft 2 as a game. Check it out right now over in the main hall.
I thought...
Welcome to the StarCraft 2 gameplay open question and answer panel.
Hello, everybody. My name is Dustin Browder. I am the lead designer on a little game called StarCraft 2. We've got a good panel for you here today. It's going to be a little bit about mission design and how we do our mission design at Blizzard Entertainment. We're going to take you through our design process, talk about some of our design philosophies, show you some of the tools we use to create our missions, at the same time realize that all of these tools are going to be released to you, the community, and we'll give you a little bit of an example at the end, a little bit of a teaser at the kinds of games you guys might be creating in the years to come, the kinds of games we'll all be playing on Battle.net in the years to come in StarCraft 2. Now, to help me out with this process here today, I've got a couple of Blizzard veterans here with me. I've got Michael Heiberg, a 12-year veteran of Blizzard Entertainment. Michael has worked on StarCraft, StarCraft Brood War, Warcraft 3, Warcraft 3 Frozen Throne, and World of Warcraft. Michael did a lot of the work on the creatures in Outland, working on their special abilities.